You know, I laugh, and it's not actually funny because there is someone probably younger than you, half your IQ, making 10x, 20x, 30x, 100x more money than you are right now. I'll let that sit for a second. And you can probably look at the figures on YouTube or celebrities or people who are doing well in business or other ventures, and you're maybe saying, well, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. And you're right, you've been lied to. There's this big myth, whether it's school, culture, teachers, I don't know, but there's this big myth that has permeated everybody's mind that rich people who make a lot of money are smart. They know something that the poor don't, and to some extent they do, but not in an intellectual sense, not in a book sense, not in a school sense. And so in a world of AI, information is a commodity. Everybody has access to the same information. And so it's not your smarts that's going to divide the poor and the rich, the winners and the losers. You know, my friends who are making multi-7 figures, 8 figures a year in cash collected profit, they're not Einstein, they're not intellectuals, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, and yet they live exceptional lives. They have more money than they know what to do with, and they're exceptional business operators. And so you need to break this myth that it is smart people who are rich people, and rich people are smart people. They've got nothing to do with each other. In fact, in many ways, being smart can be a curse in terms of taking action to getting money. And I'll illustrate that with 2 archetypes that I've created. On the left, we have the practitioner, and on the right, we have the theorist. And so the theorist and the practitioner perfectly explain why dumb people tend to just make more progress, because they lean heavier in the practitioner camp, and quote unquote smart people, whether you think you're rational, logical, or, just competent, you're smart, you know how to make the right decisions, you fall heavier in the theorist camp. And so let's explore these 2 archetypes and why this happens. So if we zoom in on the theorist, as I said, this quote unquote smart person indexes heavily here. They have a lot of the theorist within them, because the theorist is synonymous with planning, researching, and analysis. So the theorist is constantly second guessing themselves. They're researching and planning. They have this insistence of making the best decisions, the best types of action. So in business, this would be researching the best business model for 6 months, or finding the best funnel, or the best software, or the best this or that. There's this insistence on getting something right the first time you do it. And that's a grand illusion in business. And I have a theory that this stems from school, where they moralize right or wrong. In a math test, for example, if you get it wrong, it's a red X, it's bad, it's been moralized. And if you get it right, it's a green tick. And so the theorist has brought this forward into business. It's this unconscious avoidance of any mistakes, any failure. It's held together by the emotion of fear. It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of being viewed as not competent, or being judged or exposed. And they are all features of making a lot of money, but the theorist doesn't realize this. The theorist is lost in analysis paralysis. The theorist is thinking 20 moves ahead and trying to, doubting themselves at every move they take. They think more and they act less. That's how we can categorize this theorist. And to continue to go on, I'm sure you're picking up places in your life where maybe I am a bit of a theorist here or there. It's not a zero-sum game, but maybe not the extremes, but there is some theorist within everybody where you're thinking too much and you're not taking enough imperfect action. And this next point will definitely hit some of you, because a theorist is trying to win these unwinnable wars in their mind. They're trying to solve the past, ruminating on what I did wrong last week, or what happened last week, or they're worrying about the future, what might happen in an hour, forecasting, negatively visualizing what will happen next week, or all of these sorts of things. They're living in the past and the future, and they don't realize that they are actually illusions. They're just thoughts that arise in the present. And very rarely does the theorist actually take action in the present. You know, they're just doing basically anything but the action. And the first step to unrooting the theorist, getting out of this analysis paralysis, is realizing that it's within you a little bit, being introspective and humble enough to say, yeah, I've got a bit of theorist in me. I'm not taking as much action as I should be. That's the first step. You have to identify that some of the theorist is actually there. And then once you do that, we can begin to unroot it. And so the theorist is unrooted. Well, what do we bring in as, you know, in return, you know, as its replacement? Well, we have the practitioner over here, and when I just say that word, it makes me feel warm, because if you truly embody what I go through as the practitioner, and I'll give you an exercise at the end which will filter the practitioners and the theorists watching this, but we'll get onto that. If you can truly embody this archetype, you will make more money than you know what to do with. And in the spirit of the practitioner, which is simplicity, the practitioner thinks less and does more. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. That's a quote from Leonardo da Vinci, and the practitioner embodies this stunningly, because dumb people, idiot people, low IQ people, what are they? They are more simple, let's say, and they have less mental horsepower. So they're just thinking less and doing more. They're not getting in their own way like a theorist would. And so the practitioner just takes loads and loads of imperfect action in the present moment. They don't plan or research things, because they understand the real plan is made in the crucible of life through action, not in the illusion of the mind. And so the practitioner takes action, they use the feedback from that action, iterate, take some more action, iterate, take some more action based off feedback. And that feedback, which has actually come from real life, can be used for a plan. There's nothing wrong with a plan or knowing where you're going, but the practitioner gets it from actual reality, whereas the theorist is making or guessing in their mind. They're a theorist. And the practitioner is in this constant cycle of eating shit, really. Most of their action isn't going to be good, at least at first. The first action they will take, they realize is going to be terrible, at least compared to their 100th rep. And they actually embrace this fact. They embrace failure. They actually seek out failure and resistance, because they know it's the only path to actually get them closer to the goal. And if they're not encountering any failure or resistance, they know they're not making any progress. They're not actually expanding themselves. They're not expanding what they're capable of. And so that is an indicator. It's a green light for the practitioner, and they love it and they embrace it as an opportunity, and they're grateful for resistance and failure, whereas the theorist is trying to avoid it at all costs. The practitioner is not. And to do this, the practitioner has to be fully secure in themselves. The practitioner doesn't give a fuck, really. They don't take themselves as seriously as the theorist does. They allow themselves to be judged, exposed, or whatever, seen as not competent by others to get a bigger outcome. The practitioner has so much self-belief, so much confidence within. They don't need it externally. They don't care what their image looks like. They only care where they're going. They're worried about motion and momentum rather than the actual image that people have of them. And you can see why simple, low IQ people who have a tendency to be more confident in themselves, they care less, the stakes are lower, and they just take more action. And this is why there are people dumber than you who don't have the right, they're not as smart in here, but they're making so much more money, because the game of money is never about how smart you are, especially in the age of AI. Information is a commodity. Like the old schooling, you've got to drop it. You can either ruminate on and continue to be a theorist and be angry about this fact, or you can begin to embody the practitioner. And to do this, well, embody them, become them. But to do this more seamlessly, perhaps every week, audit your life and see, okay, this week I was a practitioner for about realistically 5% of my time, and the rest, the 95, I was a theorist. Next week, maybe make that 90-10, 85-15, 70-30, 50-50. So you start bringing in more of the practitioner into who you are every single week. You make more progress in the way you think, in the way you feel, and most importantly, in the way you act. And so you bring more of that practitioner into your life. And do you know what's a dangerous combo is a smart practitioner? Because if you're a smart practitioner, you're gonna fail less because you understand the right decisions to make in the moment. And so a smart practitioner obviously is gonna make more progress than a dumb practitioner, or at least they're gonna get to the goal faster. And so the practitioner, less is more, not overcomplicating things, imperfect action above all else, and resistance is the way. The impediment is the way. Quote from Marcus Aurelius, if you know, you know. But let's filter once and for all the practitioners and the theorists watching this video up to this point. So I'm gonna give you a task. Whatever it is, whatever the business is, whatever your avenue you're making money in, do one needle moving task towards that. So it may be a cold call, sending a DM, creating a piece of content, making a trade, testing a product, whatever avenue, it doesn't matter. Just one needle moving task that actually grows the business or contributes to the growth of the business. Now, ideally, even better, if you can do a task that bubbles more resistance, you feel more resistance to an emotional anguish towards, do that. Now, as I make that request, you can feel the theorist within you bubble up a little bit. The excuses come in, it's too late, it's not the right time, I'll do it tomorrow, I'm gonna have dinner first, or whatever the random excuses. I'm not saying you need to make a good piece of action, just an action. And you need to be able to view action and its outcomes, whatever happens, at the same level. Whether someone on the cold call tells you to fuck off, or you book a call, it doesn't matter, it's all just feedback. And if you can view it from that level, you stop caring so much. And so when I first realized this, I actually went above and beyond. It was back in the day when I was running an agency, a long while ago now, but I was cold calling. And I would on purpose cold call with a terrible script to just get rejected over and over and over again. And my God, was it painful. Every cell in my body, the theorist within me was screaming, the anxiety, the fear, the despair, but I kept going to normalize rejection and normalize it at the same level. And so you've got to identify that resistance that bubbles up from taking that action and view it as a green light, flip it on its head, you use it as an opportunity. And then you can actually realize when you're making progress. And so as soon as this video ends, you either take action closer towards the goal and you overcome this small amount of fear. It doesn't have to be a big amount of action, just small. And it doesn't have to be good either. That's the whole myth that you've got to break. And you've got to root out this theorist, and that's the first step. And then maybe off that action, you have a bit of feedback. You take a bit more, or a bit more, and a bit more. But if you couldn't take that, at least that one piece of action towards anything, do something, well, you're fucked. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna work out for you. You're a theorist, and a theorist, if you wanna make 30K per month as a community college professor teaching physics, 30K per month, 30K per year. 30K per month is nothing anyway, so relax. But if that's what you want, theorist is here for you. You can remain comfortable, but the practitioner is where you make money. You break that myth that being smart actually makes you money. And, just dumb yourself down if you want. Act like a fucking idiot or whatever gets you to just stop overthinking. Stop doubting yourself, because dumb people are not smart enough to doubt themselves. And if you can get to that frame of mind and just take some more goddamn action, you will win so much. You will get bored of winning, trust me.